Take every experience in your life with a grain of salt. Because that experience that you experienced was an experience that you may have needed for you to get from point A to point B, the next bridge. Because that current bridge that you're standing on could possibly be a bridge that's not getting you to the next stage. And you can put yourself into a situation of sticking yourself to that goddamn bridge, knowing that that bridge is ready to fall any moment. Sometimes you just have to look at the details of life. Sometimes you can't really be too extreme about things. Sometimes you can't over worry about things, because worrying about things puts you into situations of developing a catastrophic event, especially if you're manifesting it on your emotions. Now, your emotions is very strong and powerful. Without that emotion, without that spark, you wouldn't even be here in this world. So the mind ain't shit unless you train it to be shit. But if you're utilizing your emotions, things get manifested way faster. And the time and energy spent towards that, connecting that with the mind and the emotion, this is what's helping you create situations to manifest in your life. That's why it's always important to always put yourself into a situation and an energy on a day-to-day basis that you want to experience. Because if you're experiencing another timeline, this timeline may not be in your best interest. And if you paying attention to shit, you're always going to get your shit ratified right out that cup you was drinking out of. Just by you paying attention to shit, this is how you eating and digesting shit. And if you're digesting the wrong shit, you're going to have you're going to have a handful of elephant shit problems on your hands that you shouldn't basically be even washing your hands with. This is how you put blood on your hands. By catering to the wrong shit. By putting yourself into a situation of knowing that that experience was not for you. But what did you do? You decided to get comfortable in that experience. You decided to marinate yourself in that experience. You decided to get all the colors and play with yourself in that experience. Not with the finger or the vibrator, but the experience that you experience, that you know ahead of time, that this experience is just a situation that you shouldn't be here permanently. It should be a temporary situation. You made a temporary situation a permanent situation, which means that when something was ready to non-exist anymore, you held on to it. And when you hold on to things for too long, it gets tight, it gets burdened, and things snap like a pimple. And you don't want to be a pimple that's getting popped. So you got to make sure that the shit that you catering to, you got to make sure that these experiences is going for you. It's justifying you in this circle matter. And it don't matter how the outside look. You can never ever make your outside world influence with your inside world. This is how you mess shit up. Because you're not never ever supposed to make an external situation marinate in your waters. You're going to have ups and downs. And you're going to have mood swings. But when that mood swing comes, you're supposed to reciprocate that energy and not stay into that arena for too goddamn long. Because when you stay in that shit for too long, you develop migraines just by you thinking too goddamn hard about that shit. And your mind is supposed to be pure, naked, clean. And the moment you don't clean your mind, the moment you don't clean your area, you develop all kind of problems in your situations. And you put yourself into a situation of embodying yourself with dirt and traits that no longer should be around you. And you have to be very careful of who you bring around you. Because just by you being with a certain person or with a certain situation, you attract the wrong shit in your life, the wrong experiences, the wrong things. And remember, these are just experiences in your life. So the experiences that you are experiencing, always take it with a grain of salt. Never be too heavy on your experiences, because your experiences is what you came here to experience. So you need to basically get with the program, aka your program, and not somebody else's program that's programming you into experiences. Because when you get programmed into an experience that you did not wish upon, even though you wish to be here, you have to follow the wishes that you came here with, not the wishes that somebody basically trying to wish upon you. That's how you get yourself into a spell. And when you in that goddamn spell, that spell, if you take the S out and you put the P away, you put the H there, you're going to get hell. And you don't want to put yourself into hell. Because, of course, hell is just a place mentally, emotionally, and it becomes physically through the flesh. You don't want to put yourself into that situation. So you got to always backtrack sometimes. You got to always listen to your intuition, your instincts. And, of course, when it's telling you something, it's telling you to follow that shit and be aware of it. This way you will make the same repeats or the same mistakes. And when you make mistakes, you got to learn now. You got to take a break from that mistake that you basically just went through. And never harsh or down yourself from that shit. Just be like, okay, life gave me this experience. The universe put me in that experience just for this better experience to go ahead and reap the benefits of my fortune, of my gifts, of how I want to see things. And that's when you start to basically leave the right footprints in the sand as you walk it. Because leaving the wrong footprints in the sands, you put your situations, your children, and of course, individuals that's supposed to be born right after you when you leave this world in bad scenarios. And remember, what you're doing here is what you're doing or internally and externally. So always remember, the internal came first. So never ever deplete or deplenish yourself from an experiences. You got to always go through the experiences. You can't have no second guesses. You can't have no second doubts. You can't doubt yourself. When you doubt yourself, you put too much burdens on your back, too much shit that you should basically be not carrying. And of course, when you're carrying the wrong clouds, you attract misery love company. And of course, when you attract a miserably love company situation or person, this starts to become even more heavier, which means you're carrying the wrong world on your shoulders. You're carrying the wrong ideas on your shoulders. You're carrying the wrong baggages with you. And if you ain't like that firecracker up, and if you ain't basically replenish and do a detoxification to get these motherfuckers out your space, you have basically put your gift in a sunken place. And when you put your gift in a sunken place, it's hard to get it out because you got to really basically get the shovel and you got to basically dig that bitch. Keep digging that bitch in order for that bitch to come out. When that bitch get too stuck, feel me? You got to look at the details of how you're going to see how you can get this individual, this circumstance out that scenario. And you got to always remember, you always going to be playing with different ways and different aspects and different challenges on a day-to-day basis. But you got to make your day-to-day, your routine, your activity, a situation that you're going to repeat, where you can expand and where you can create a world around it. The moment you create some weird shit around it, the moment you create some negative energy around it, you have just fell off. And when you fall off, you get knocked off. And when you get knocked off, goddamn, what's the purpose of you even basically being here or trying, right? But that's the thing, you're supposed to never give up in life, I mean. You're supposed to have something that's set for you. And when you setting shit up, you're going to be set up into a program. And you won't shut up into a program. Because you'll be the one that's basically programming this shit. You'll be the one that's organizing this shit. Infiltrating this shit. Making sure that this shit is running. Make sure this shit got the right rails, the right turmoils, the right the right lotions, the right grease, the right oils, the right ingredients for you to basically put into that shit to get it rolling. And if you ain't getting it rolling, and of course, you're wasting your time scrolling. Doing what? Nothing. So, of course, that energy that you put it towards not doing something, you got to go do something. You got to make life what it's supposed to be. Living. You're supposed to live life with no regrets. So all experiences that you basically take, you're supposed to just wash that shit in the salt and just be happy. Because these things just supposedly are supposed to happen. Bad situations can happen in your life. So even a worse situation won't be even that catastrophic. So you can't really even point fingers all the goddamn time. You can't even put yourself into the situation to say, oh, by the way, this is bad, this is crazy. That ain't shit. As long as you still breathing, as long as you still in a situation where you didn't get into a catastrophic event where your ass got transformed and out of this world, then you shouldn't even basically be burdening yourself or putting yourself into a dramatic situation. Because experiences happen and people just lose their life in a second without them even thinking about it, without them even knowing. Feel me? You can get killed today. It takes you 9 months to be born here. But you can lose your life in a second. And that just goes to show life is always continuing. Whether it's here or beyond atmospheres and way beyond. So you gotta always understand that's how life is. Life is always rotating. Life is always moving around. Life is always on that goddamn cruise. Life is always looking smooth. Life is always on the goddamn groove. And of course, life, you're supposed to be very light with life. You gotta weigh the scales sometimes. You gotta be balanced in life. Even though life can bring misunderstandings, you gotta learn how to take a chill pill. Learn how to breeze through life. Learn how to get through life and ride the currents. This way you won't get washed up under the current. This way your scales is properly weighed. Things is organized. You have a foot to walk on your surface. You have a floor to walk on where you can be able to actually have access to the ground easier, where you ain't gotta jump and break a knee bone or break a goddamn spine just because you was into a situation of not being secured in that area, just because you was relating on wrong endeavors, just because you was guilty by association. And of course, you can always be guilty by association when it comes to experiences. But of course, if you wasn't with that person, you wasn't able to experience that shit for what it was. That's why experiences are needed to happen. This way you could be prepared and situated. But you gotta always be prepared for everything. Be prepared for every situation and every circumstance that you basically go through. And sometimes in life, you gotta always question shit. You can't just basically be jumping the gun and being impulsive and doing other shit because you're always gonna seem opposite to the world. Sometimes you gotta really sit back and think and look at the 360 real fast. Put all your options on the dashboard. See this situation. See how it's gonna play out. Feel me? Do the mad, you do the ring around the rosy, pop a fill of smoothie, and of course you put yourself into that situation and seeing how you're gonna weigh the scales. You gotta always be aware of your surroundings. Always be aware of your environment. Always be aware of what you're getting yourself into. Always be aware of where you're relating to. Because what you're relating to can bring good things or bad things. But always remember, your mind is going to take you to that experience. Your body is going to lead the way. And if you're into a situation of having a negative outcast or a negative outcome, then of course, when the heart is pumping very fast, things get manifested way faster. Because of course, the heart is very sacred. The heart is very strong. The heart is very powerful. So if your heart is beeping fast, boom, 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 and you into a situation, things can get catastrophic. Either things can be calmed down. You can calm your heart down and think very clearly, or you can basically react and respond by boom, 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 by your heart being so goddamn fast. And of course, you may basically do something without even thinking. Feel me? Because of course, your blood is flowing real fast. You're real pissed off. Like things is getting out of chaotic, and you're ready to basically put yourself into a situation where you're not even like thinking clearly. Feel me? Sometimes you may just be into a whole nother world. Mind can be this way, spirit can be that way, soul can be this way, body can be that way, and your actions is just chaotic, all chaotic. It ain't together. It ain't formed. It ain't as one. All over the fucking place. They want to be separate, and of course, when you're separated, that's the worst enemy right there, because you can't do shit but help yourself in that situation. Others may not even be able to help you into that situation because you don't have all the details. You don't have all the situations to relate yourself into a proper manner because you're already into a situation where you're going to basically take matters into your own hand and basically do something wrong. So, of course, never put yourself into that situation. Always look at the pros and the cons out that situation. And, of course, when you're not into that situation, when you're not in that outcast, you always put yourself into the best predicament of your life by basically placing yourself into the right situation where you can basically just go around. And of course, the bygones be bygones. Sometimes you just need experiences in life to basically put you into a situation. But always remember that this is your life. This is how you see things. You create your own vision. You are the creator, not the creation. And always remember that you created this shit. Teamwork make the dream work. So you always got to pick and choose. What life are you willing to basically go above with? And you are the one that's basically putting on the maps. You're the one that's supposed to be leading the way. You're the one that's basically supposed to be pushing forward. So you got to basically pick and choose. What is it going to motherfucking be? Is it going to be you taking power and control over your life and using life and these experiences as a fucking dog to walk on, not to harm the dog? Or you're going to actually be vice versa, allow life to use you as a bitch? But don't never neglect the experience. Real shit.